Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into this conversation on does does the tariff and the tax point show up in the Bible? Now, Trump is talking all about that, trying to explain it in different ways, and yet I saw this in a service. Now, listen, I've read through the Bible hundreds and hundreds of times. There are verses that I spend thousands of times upon them. I teach on apologetics, I teach on eschatology, and I also teach on the Nasara point, as you've seen before. Now, one of the things that people wonder about is can we even have a proof? God has been talking about this from time immemorial. Now, let me show you this particular way of looking at this. Now, this is the Olive Tree Study Bible. This is I always recommend you purchase the Strong's Concordance along with that. So whether you're going to get, I mean, you can use the whole Holman Study Bible, HCSB. You can do the King James version. You can do different ones, but make sure you purchase that. It's $30, right? One of the things that happens with this is that I can make notes and I can go to that particular thing and make extra notes. I can download that. When I'm doing this is I can go to on my iPad and make notes. I can go and sync it as well and be able to sync it to the computer so that I can show you guys, or I can sync it to my iPad, bring it up to the phone. I don't like the phone as much. But if you want to be serious in your study and really understand some of the stuff, look at what you would do. So like just the word kill, kill, and it'll explain what that word is in the Greek. Okay. So you have a clue. Well, obviously you understood that one. Now, obviously, this one's giving a little troubles when you can't see this when I do it. Here, I want you to see what was happening in this particular conversation. Now, um, Jesus is talking quite dramatically to different portions of his life. He is talking about prayer and fasting and healing. He gets over to the second prediction of his death, and then he talks about a weird thing called the temple tax. Okay, so when they came to Capernaum, they collected those who collected the double drachma tax. Who might that be? Think about that for a second. Might that be an IRS person? Might that be a sales tax, agency, a government type of agency? Now, we're going to show you more about that. The double drachma, which would be 2 days of a man's wage, okay? Approached Peter and says, "Doesn't your teacher pay the double drachma tax?" And he says, "Yes." Fascinating point, right? So we can even kind of go over to this, and I can show you, well, it's a little hard to see, but hard to see on the screen. Yeah, it doesn't like to show it to you in this particular way, but that's where I can go over and I explain. I mean, I'm making notes for myself and I'll adjust that, right? So says yes. When he went into the house, Jesus spoke to him first. What do you think, Simon? Do earthly kings collect tariffs and taxes, or tariffs and taxes from their sons or the strangers? Now, I had to pause here and kind of look at this. And when I came to the word sons, we look at that, and that is a very interesting word that would recommend, I mean, that means the Son of God and those people who are around it. But what that is really identifying is those who are part of the direct community. Now, when we're talking about the temple, he's saying, in essence, the Jewish people, all of them were going to the temple. It doesn't mean that someone was outside the community anymore or was Jewish and they never went to the temple. But in essence, citizens of the Jewish faith. Now, remember that they are taken over by the Roman citizens, the Roman culture around them. So people would have been dropping away from that. But he's using the point of sons versus strangers. Now, the word strangers is an interesting way of putting it. This is a hostile alien, real interesting point, belonging to another. And you're going, what would that be? An illegal citizen, someone who is outside of the citizen point. So, from a today's standard, that if we were to utilize exact wording from today, we would say from a citizen, when do you take the taxes and tariffs? Taxes and tariffs. And I'm going to explain that in a second. Well, from the sons or the citizens or from those that are outside of our country, in essence. And he says, from strangers. Then the sons are free, in essence. But so we won't offend them. Go to the sea, cast a fish hook, take the first fish that you catch. You'll open his mouth and find the coin, take it and give it to them for me and you. Okay. Again, don't get too lost over into the verse 27 here. Because what I want you to catch is this. The tariff and taxes, collecting out a tariff and tax. A tariff is exactly the teleos, what that is, comes from people who are in the uttermost areas, right? So this is a levy that is paid out to the outside community. What would we call a tariff? Well, a tariff comes because, for instance, a Jewish citizen would buy from the Romans. Well, that would be a tariff, right? Versus the conversation of taxes. And what that comes from is from the Roman census. Now, I want you to catch that. The Romans were pulling a census, those who lived within the community, right? And they were levying a tax. This is a capitalization or poll tax. I'm looking over here. Screen is easier to kind of say. So this coin was paid to deal with the tribute money. But when it's going into this tribute levied, and so a tribute is something to the governmental role. In essence, when they say taxation in this way, that is from the government, the external organization that we would have to pay, in essence, a levy just to live in that area. That is, IRS taxation has nothing to do with sales tax or use tax. But the Bible talks about that. We have use tax. That's fine. But this kind of thing was a burden to every single person. So we actually, and so the Bible's already talking about this. And yet it says that those taxes should be paid by people who are strangers to our land. So I'm going to pose to you this basic point here. What if, when he talks about the external revenue service, and I have a video that I just did, and you guys are seeing it on Monday the 17th. This is going to happen for you on Monday or Wednesday the 19th of March. And on the video and on Monday, we were talking about what Senator or Secretary Lutnick of the Commerce Division, he is a billionaire, and he puts out a statement of, in essence, there would be no tax out to $150,000. Okay. And again, don't get off in, well, what if I make $160,000? You're off in the weeds in that conversation. Hold on, because he says, what about no IRS? He's introducing, warming the crowd up so that they get the idea. And he talks about, how about those other countries have to pay a tariff to bring in their goods and services? And he's, in essence, he literally could have been lifting his information from Matthew 17, verse 24 and 25. He could have almost pulled it from that. Do you get it? And And he even says that the citizens shouldn't be burdened with this taxation of tariffs or IRS in essence. He's like, why can't those other people do it? What if, what if the IRS might be around, but it's called an external agency? So it would cover the tariff issues, a tiny agency, maybe a tenth of the size. It deals with tariffs and it deals with the secondary point of taxing those people who are non citizens working in America. What a cool idea. I never thought of that. I never even put that together in that way. And yet the Bible is talking about it. Do you want to know, do you want proof that the Bible is true? Do you want proof that the Bible has a relevance to you today? In Matthew 17:25, it instantly tells you what we're dealing with today. I see people all the time saying, oh, the Bible's, cobbled together information has been distorted, or there's really more books of the Bible and you can't really prove it. It's not really true. And I say to you, bah humbug. You haven't read it. You haven't spent any time looking at it. It's proving itself, and we're about to see the fruits of it today. Isn't that cool? Aren't you excited about that? You should be excited because it's about to occur. Thanks so much.